I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle,
the Christian Girl's Guide to Modern Dating.
We are just two single girls trying to help you navigate dating well as Christian women. So thanks for joining us
for another episode
of our podcast. This is our second last week before the end of season 2.
That's so weird.
It's so weird. But we're already planning for season 3, so...
And it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
We've got all kinds of fun stuff in store for you.
Yes, we do.
So...
But before
we get into all of that...
Let's finish each other's sandwiches. It's your question of the day.
Okay. I think this one's going to be a fun one.
Okay. Go.
Okay. So it's a 2-part question. There's 2 answers.
So fun.
So, what is your real favorite movie? And then what is the movie that you tell people is your favorite so that you sound more cultured?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. You told me this wasn't a thinker.
It's not.
There's so many.
Do you want me to do mine?
Yeah, you
I
go
do
first.
Mine. Okay.
You go first.
So my real favorite movie is Princess Bride.
Okay.
I love it so much.
Okay.
The movie that I sometimes tell people is my favorite, which really could be a favorite, is Pride and Prejudice. Because I sound, more refined when that's my favorite.
So bougie.
Don't get me wrong. I love me some Mr. Darcy. So it is a favorite, but Princess Bride is like my legit real favorite movie.
Okay. I feel like mine I'm just shamelessly proud of.
Well,
and it's kind of the same thing.
What is it?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
That's your favorite movie? And you just don't even care.
Actually, that or Sweet Home Alabama.
So there's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and then like the sweetened up version is Sweet Home Alabama.
Basically.
That's hilarious.
Or either Sweet Home Alabama is like the one I'm ashamed of because it's like the redneck chick flick.
Oh.
And then How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is a little more like smart, witty,
it's
funny.
Like city chic.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed, y'all. They're all chick flicks.
That's hilarious.
If I know that I'm not speaking to a chick flicky audience, I will say Miracle, the hockey movie about the USA hockey team.
I had a bad experience with that movie.
Really?
Not really with the movie. Have I never told you this?
No.
Okay. Senior year, basketball practice.
Oh.
Have I told you this?
I already know where you're going.
Okay.
My dad did the same thing to us.
We had done something. I don't even remember what now. And Coach wasn't too happy with us. So he told us to get on the line. And we ran suicide.
My least favorite words.
And I'm telling you, you've seen the movie, obviously. There's a scene in the movie where they're skating lines and they get back. And in the movie, the coach is always like, who do you play for? And they'll say, I'm so-and-so and I play for such and such school. And he's like, again. And he makes them skate. So that's what he didn't ask us that every time. He's like, again. And we just ran and ran and ran. And in the movie, he finally asks one of the guys, who do you play for? And he's like, my name is so-and-so and I play for the United States of America. And that's what he was trying to get that team mentality from him. And so he let him stop. And so we had run so much. And we get done one time and one of the girls is like, oh, my name's Katie and I play for Cherokee Christian School. Like just out of the blue she said that and it made Coach laugh. He's like, okay, y'all can go.
Oh my gosh.
I've never watched that movie again. I can't do it.
Oh, I've watched it so many times. My dad was my basketball coach for years. And after he watched that movie, when we would run suicides, he'd be like, again. And then he'd be on the legs feed the wolf, ladies. And I'm like, oh, jeez. That's what Coach Brooks said. It was so bad. So, excellent movie, if you should
Yes, it is a really good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. But, yeah, when I'm in a room with guys, I'll be like, it's Miracle. And they're like, oh, yeah. Respect. Not Sweet Home Alabama. So, does that sort of answer your question?
Yes, I think that was good.
Okay. Fun things.
Okay. So, today, though, we are going to talk about long-distance relationships. After we did our couch cast last week, and the question was talking about, like, if you have strong feelings for a guy, but you're moving away, what do you do? So, it wasn't, like, directly about long distance, but we just kind of got to thinking, and we're like, let's talk about, okay, so you do have feelings for someone and they move, or you're long distance to start with, or whatever. How do you get through that? So, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I think the first thing you have to do is set expectations early on, like for yourself and for this potential relationship. Like, kind of set the groundwork, lay the groundwork, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, I think before you even start a long distance relationship, be realistic with yourself about what you can really handle. If you are someone who doesn't like going a really long time without even seeing your friends,
right,
much less somebody you're dating, or if you think that would be super difficult for you, then don't put yourself in that position. It's okay to be aware enough of how you are to realize that may not be the best option for you, because it isn't for anybody.
Right.
But I think you need to think through that before this cute guy starts talking to you from a different state, and you're like, I don't know
what to do.
Yeah, you really need to think through that.
And I mean, I think some of the things to think through: are you a strong communicator? I think that's really important. Does your schedule allow for travel?
That's a big one. That's so important.
Yeah. Are you okay with only seeing someone every few weeks? Are you a go with the flow kind of person? Can you handle things coming up and plans changing within reason? If things are always coming up and you can't see the person, okay, that's a different issue. But within reason, can you go with the flow and handle things changing, plans changing? Because if you can't, it'll be tough to navigate a long distance relationship.
Well, and I think within that realm too, this is going to sound confusing, but I promise it will make sense. You have to be somewhat of a planner when it comes to long distance.
Yes.
So I think there's this balance of like, you've got to be able to plan ahead, because it'd be like, hey, these next 2 weeks, I know I can't see you, but the next week, let's meet here.
Yeah, and if you don't plan that ahead of time, they're going to have plans for that weekend. And yeah, you've got to communicate, talk about those things, make those plans, but then also prioritize that. Like, you've got to be willing to say, hey, no, friends, I can't go hang out because of this or whatever. Not all the time.
No.
Like I said, within reason. There are limits and boundaries and reasonable things to expect with this. But yeah, I think you have to sit down and just really evaluate yourself honestly. Can I do this? And then you kind of have to look at it from like a relationship standpoint too. Like, okay, what are the expectations we're going to set for this relationship too?
Yeah, because I think one thing that it can be super tempting with long distance is because you're not seeing each other all the time. You feel the need to talk to each other all the time. And that's just not the case. Especially, I feel like as you get older, this high school relationship mentality of we have to be texting 24/7 when I'm not with you kind of goes away. And so,
I'm like, I got a job.
Yeah.
I got to go earn money and do stuff. I can't text. I love texting. Don't get me wrong. And I love texting in the day. But I cannot text all day long.
No.
I just can't.
No, and you shouldn't have that expectation of some other adult with a full-time job and a commute and a life either. So I think you need to go in with that expectation of just because I only see him every 2 to 3 weeks does not mean he needs to be glued to his phone on the days he doesn't see me.
Right. Well, and I think too, like more verbal communication as opposed to texting communication is probably good. Because if you're just texting, I don't know, that only goes so far in when it comes to really getting to know someone.
Yeah, well, because good communication does not necessarily mean constant communication.
No.
I think there's a difference. You can have quality on a lower quantity, and that's fine.
And that's better a lot of times. I'd rather talk on the phone for a couple of hours, and it will take the same amount of time all at once than texting throughout the day, which will add up to a couple of hours, and you probably haven't hardly gotten anywhere as far as like progressing a relationship.
Oh, totally. I agree.
So yeah. And then I would say too, like talk ahead of time, kind of establish, like make sure you're going the same direction with this relationship at reasonably the same pace. If you want to get married and he's like, hey, let's just hang out, I'm not be like, sorry, I don't want to, long distance isn't going to work for that. Like, so just kind of, you don't have to straight up ask someone that. Like, you can find those things out as you start getting to know someone. But I think when there's distance involved, those things need to be talked about earlier. Like, are we looking for the same things? Are we going the same direction? Are we wanting to get there at the same pace? And if those things line up, then go ahead. But if not, I would say maybe be a little hesitant in jumping into a relationship that's long distance.
Yeah, and I think the advantage you'll have, typically, at least in my experience with long distance, more serious conversations happen earlier.
Naturally,
just because all you can really do is talk when you're not with each other all the time. So that can work to your advantage for you to kind of figure that out sooner rather than later. But I do think it's really important, like you said, to figure that out, because whether or not you want to, you'll either figure it out the easy way if you ask, or you'll figure it out the hard way pretty quickly if you're not headed in the same direction. And you want to avoid that if you can.
Right.
So once you've kind of set your expectations for yourself and for the relationship, and you've communicated that with him, I think the next thing that's really important when it comes to long distance relationships is figuring out the types of communication that work for you and him and which ones don't. Because not everything is going to work necessarily for both of you.
Well, and okay, let's just say here, communicating well is a given in a long distance relationship. That's nothing new. That's nothing creative.
We talk about that all the time.
We're not going to belabor that point. That's a given. So we're like, okay, you have to communicate well. Now, how? Yeah.
So you have the typical, I mean, thank the Lord for technology. I think long distance relationships have honestly become more common because of technology, because you can.
Easier. Exactly.
So you have texting and you have phone calls and you have FaceTime, but I think it's important at the beginning to talk about, okay, hey, I like this better. Where like he may really like to FaceTime.
Yeah.
And
I don't.
You don't. I do. So then that may work well. Whereas, like, you may want to text all the time. He may not want to. Or he may not can. Right. So instead of expecting him to talk to you every which way, the sooner you can talk about this, your expectation is set, kind of going back to that first point, and you know, okay, you know what? He's not going to text me all day. Because that just doesn't work, which is fine. But we're going to FaceTime tonight for an hour or two, and it'll be great.
Well, and two, those are the texting, phone calls, FaceTime, Skype, whatever you want to call it. Those are the typical. But don't limit yourself to that. Write emails. Send letters.
Oh my gosh, I love a good letter. I'm such a sucker.
Get creative. Find what works for you and do it. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, and depending on how long distance you are, you may not have the luxury of talking on the phone all the time.
That's true. I mean, and it may be more than 2 or 3 weeks when you see, like, it may be every 6 weeks, a couple months. Like, you've got to be able to maintain with that as an obstacle even.
Yeah, totally. I would say do make a point to visit each other.
Sure.
Regardless of how far apart you are. I know that's going to look different. But figure out what that is. Like, figure out what's manageable for your distance. If you're a state away, it's going to be pretty frequent. If you are on different coasts, it's not going to be as frequent. Because you are not only talking time, you're talking money.
Unless you have a lot of Sky Miles.
Yeah, then more power to you. And please call me because I will use some of them for you.
Yeah, I think that there's a kind of a line there between driving distance and flying distance, and how you're going to navigate those relationships as far as how often you see each other is going to look different because of that very thing. It's a lot cheaper for the most part to drive than it is to fly. And if you have to fly, I think you have to be even more intentional about planning out and really communicating how you're going to make a point of seeing each other.
I love the point you make when you're talking about online dating specifically, when you're trying to figure out your distance, that if you can't drive to meet him at least halfway in a day.
Right.
And make a day trip of it. Or if you can't drive there and like spend a weekend with him and drive back, then it's too far for you. And that's just a parameter you've set for yourself.
Right. And that's something that just for me, like in thinking about setting those expectations, like, okay, what can I handle? I don't expect to see someone every weekend, but if we can drive 4-ish, that's always been my kind of thing, my 4-ish hours to meet in the middle, I'm good with driving 4 hours, seeing someone for a day, and then driving home 4 hours. Like, that's doable to me. And so that's kind of always been my rule of thumb, because I evaluated me, and that's something that works for me. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's just, like, that kind of thing is what we're saying. Like, kind of, think about and what works for you.
Yeah, and I think if there's any point that I can stress when it comes to visiting each other is that give and take is so important here.
Yes.
This has got to be a balanced thing, and not, the more one-sided it gets, the more resentment and frustration and
insecurity
is going to start bubbling up.
One person can't be doing all of the traveling.
No.
They shouldn't have to.
No, not at all.
Now, there's something to be said for a guy who's willing to bear a good bit of that burden because he realizes the importance of getting to know your family. I'm not saying it has to be 50-50.
No.
I'm just saying the expectation should not be for one person to do all of the traveling. I appreciate someone who will get to know my family and make that effort and do that and knows that that's kind of his responsibility. But I am more than willing to travel as well.
Totally. Well, and I think for him to make that point to travel a little bit more is his way of showing that he's pursuing you.
True. That's very true.
I think that is so amazing when a guy does endearing. That. It is. Yeah. It's so sweet, and it means so much, and it makes you feel so valued when he does that. But it's important, too, to understand the season. This is something Melanie talked about when her and Trey started dating, is that she had been coaching a volleyball team when they started dating, and so he traveled more during volleyball season because that meant they got to see each other more if he came there when she had a game, whereas if not, she'd have to wait till the next day and then drive. So if you're going through, depending maybe on your job or just activities you're involved in, if there's one season where maybe he has to drive a little more, but then there's another season where you're going to have to drive a little more, it's okay for that to happen. Like you said, it doesn't have to be 50-50.
And be with someone who is not keeping a tally of, well, I came 4 times and you only came 2.
Yeah, no.
Now, if it's, I've been to where you are 10 times and you've come once, that's when, that's way out of balance. But that's still not a, well, this many times versus that many times. It's the general idea behind it. So if someone is that concerned about, it has to be exactly, like, no.
No, you
It does
gotta
not
have
have to
some
be
grace
exactly
and
even.
flexibility there.
But 2, be okay with meeting in the middle. Don't get hung up on, okay, you've got to come here, I've got to go there. Like, you can just meet in the middle for a little bit, for a day trip if you wanted to, too. Find some entertainment or a sermon or something to listen to on your way and get used to driving. Make it fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we obviously have a podcast. We like podcasts.
Yeah.
We like true crime podcasts, though.
Hands down, the
So,
most entertaining thing to binge, other than us, obviously.
We aren't exactly detectives, so we figured, let's talk about boys. We can do that better.
Yes.
But I think, so what are some of our favorites? Some things that people might could be like, you know what, I've been needing something new to listen to in the car.
If we're going on true crime,
Okay.
Up and Vanished, season 1.
Season 1. Hands down, the best one out there.
Yes. Serial, season 1.
Serial's good. In the Dark. I know you haven't listened to it yet. Season 2 of In the Dark. Phenomenal.
Season 1's also good of In the Dark.
It is good.
but
Yes.
I don't have a comparison yet.
Season
so,
2 is phenomenal.
Yeah, those are our probably top 3 true crime.
I think so.
Oh, To Live and Die in LA is also really good.
That one's a little edgier, shall we say?
Yes.
Content-wise.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Not spoiler, just a warning.
Heads up. But anyway, those are just some of our favorites. We figured we'd throw some out there if you're needing some new material to listen to. Obviously, after you're done listening to us.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Also, go listen to the new Jonas Brothers album if you like music.
Okay.
Shameless plug.
No.
Anyways. But yeah, all of that to say, driving or flying or some sort of travel is going to be
gonna be part of your life.
So
be okay with it.
Buckle up, pun intended, and find ways to entertain yourself.
There you go.
Or call your friends like we do.
That is true.
Talking on the phone to other people. Call your mom. She will love it.
Yeah.
Or your dad or your best friend or
whoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on now. That was a little bit of a rabbit trail, but that was kind of fun. Another thing I would encourage you to do when you're navigating a long distance relationship is to have periodic check-ins. And
periodic.
Yes. And by that I do not mean every night being like, so how are we?
Do you still love me?
Yes. No, but if you're feeling insecure or frustrated or confident or distant or whatever, talk about it. Like, it's okay from time to time to be like, hey, I know that I don't know if you're feeling this way. This may just be a me thing. I'm feeling like we're kind of off right now. Can we talk through that?
Yeah.
And then you talk through it, and then you figure it out, and then you move on.
You've got to talk about everything, really. I mean, you've got to be willing to ask tough questions and talk about what you're thinking and really be okay with having what would normally be like face-to-face conversations, not necessarily face-to-face. Yeah. Because they may not be able to be. And you've got to be able to just talk about that stuff, get it out there. And I think in the long run, that's good for you. You have this foundation of talking about everything already set.
Yeah, I think you have a great opportunity in a long-distance relationship to really hone in on your communication skills. Because we keep talking about how important that is. Everybody knows it's important.
Right.
And this is a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to be said for a relationship that is built on that kind of a foundation.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting wrapped up in shallow flirting. Not like or the physical aspect of the relationship even that's going to be prolonged.
Yeah.
And those are all good things and they're fun things about a relationship, but when you really, all you can do is just sit down and talk to the person.
Yeah.
I think it can really work to your advantage if you're intentional about it and you steward that well.
Yeah. Totally. So, yes.
I have one other soapbox point that I'm going to climb up on now.
Okay. Do you need a step?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My little imaginary step up here. When it comes... I mean, this should be the case in any relationship, honestly, but particularly with long distance, I think it's even more important. Make them a priority, not the priority.
Okay? I think that applies to like social life, but then also when it comes to your relationship with the Lord.
Oh, totally.
Like, you can't rearrange that around their schedule for talking either.
No, not at all. And yeah, you shouldn't neglect your friends, your family, or your quiet time even, or anything like
Yeah.
that, just to sit by your phone waiting for them to call or waiting for them to text you because you haven't talked to them all day. I know that I'm not going to say that I haven't struggled with this, because I totally have, where I'll cancel plans, or I do my quiet time at night, and sometimes that gets pushed off to the side because I'm waiting to talk. And you know, you can't.
Yeah.
You've got to be so careful and so intentional about that, because your priorities can get out of whack super quickly if you're not careful.
Well, and I think if you've done like the things we've already talked about well, this one will kind of flow naturally, and you won't feel like you have to just sit by the phone. You'll know where you stand. You'll know what to expect. You'll know what's going on. And honestly, I think keeping yourself busy is probably a good thing to an extent. Like having other things, so you're not literally sitting there thinking about this person that you can't see, and you have nothing else to do. Do stuff. Keep normal friends. Do things that you would normally do.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, but I feel like it needs to be said anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I do get sacrifices are going to need to be made, kind of like you said earlier, when it comes to planning out visits or, you know, making time to talk. Sure, there are going to be times where you're like, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't go to that this weekend because I'm going to this place to see what's his name. Don't call him that, but you know what I mean.
My mom's grandmother, when they first met or whatever, she couldn't remember his name for enough of a time that we still joke about it today, and it's been 35 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so she's like, oh, she would call him, what's his name?
Oh my gosh. I should call him that next time I'm around. Call your dad, like, what's his name? That's funny. But yeah, there's a time to make sacrifices to spend time with them. And there's also a time for you to continue to live your life and to spend time with the people you care about and to do the things that you love and maintain that balance as you're developing this relationship.
And I think the last thing, and this is an overarching, applies to all of them thing, be patient. You have to know ahead of time, this will be different than probably a typical relationship. Seeing each other may take longer. Getting to know each other may take longer. You've just got to be patient. Be willing to just wait a little bit.
Yeah, and don't get caught up in comparing yourself to anyone else either in their relationship, whether they're long distance or not, especially if they're not.
Right.
Because it's apples to oranges at that point.
Exactly.
But this can be really difficult because your pace is going to look so different when it comes to long distance, whether that means it's quicker, whether that means it takes longer. It could go either way. So just really try to be careful not to get caught up in, oh, well, they're already at this place, or they're already doing this,
about this,
or they've talked about this, or they're moving forward here, they've already met every one of their friends, and mine's only met 2. So don't get too caught up in that, because it's just going to be different.
No, and then the last thing, we can close it out with this, and this kind of applies to everything too. Don't make any long-term decisions based on a short-term problem. Whether that be the distance as a whole, it's not going to last forever. If you're moving towards a long-term relationship, marriage, distance won't always be an issue. So don't make a long-term decision of breaking up based on a short-term issue of distance. Now, I'm not saying don't ever break up with someone that's long distance, because it won't always be that. If there's other things, fine. But work through that. If you're having an issue that would be a normal issue if you were in the same city and you would just work through it, do the same thing if you're long distance. Don't look at that issue and say, oh my word, we're long distance, we're never going to be able to get through this. Don't attribute things to the distance that aren't.
That's a great
If it's an issue that if he lived 20 minutes away, you would just talk about it and get through it and get past it, then you can do that if you're 10 hours away. You just have to talk about it. So just be patient. Don't make rash long-term decisions based on an issue or a problem that is not a long-term problem.
That's such a good point. I like that you ended on that so well, as you so often do. The closer. I'm going to get you like a t-shirt or something that has the closer on it with our little logo or something.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
That would be fun.
I would wear that shirt.
Okay, I'll work on it.
Awesome.
Well, thanks guys so much for joining us for another episode. Make sure you check back this Friday for another Couch Cast.
Yep.
And then next week is our season finale.
Y'all, I can't even wrap my head around that.
I can't either. It's going to be great though. It's going to be fun. You're not going to want to miss it. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle.